Welcome to One-on-One with Walt Lascos. In this brief podcast, you'll learn how to most effectively address senior financial exploitation. Now, here's Walt.
In today's fight against scam con artists, there are a variety of resources available to protect potential victims. One of the very best resources I've found is an app called Carefull. And here to share background and information with us about Carefull is one of its co-founders, Max Goldman. As a caregiver, Max is deeply passionate about solving the financial challenges faced by the tens of millions of American families who support and care for older loved ones. And he's demonstrated his passion by putting his years of experience to work in developing Carefull. An early employee at SuccessFactors, Max led Next Labs, the company's product innovation group, through the firm's IPO and eventual sale to SAP for $3.4 billion. Next, he was co-founder and CEO of Director, a video creation platform ultimately acquired by Google. Then Max spent several years at Google as a product leader, launching and leading its SMB video ads product group. Max holds a BS from NYU and an MBA from Columbia Business School. And Max, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here with you.
Well, Max, let's start off our conversation. If you would please explain for listeners what exactly is Carefull and how does it work?
Yeah. So Carefull is what we call the financial safety platform. It's designed to help protect folks, especially older folks, from fraud and scams, but also mistakes and misappropriation, all the different ways that the day-to-day finances can go wrong for somebody. And the way I ask people to think about it is kind of like it's a big brain, and it's a big brain with one job, which is basically to take in data from across someone's financial life, their checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards, investment accounts, alongside like credit data and identity monitoring data, and sort of create a picture of what sort of good or normal looks like for that person or that household. And then monitor everything that happens to make sure it's sort of consistent with what is normal or good for that person. And in that way, it's sort of looking for anything that might be a problem. And if we find something that's a problem, could be a transaction that looks like a scam, could be a bill that wasn't paid, could be a charitable donation that became recurring, then we let the member know and help them in taking action if action needs to be taken.
And I guess I'm also curious, how did Carefull come about? What was the genesis of it?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking. So there's a couple of directions. So I have a co-founder, Todd Rovac, who you know. And he had spent the previous part of his career kind of working with large FIs, trying to find kind of underserved markets. And he realized as part of that the way, especially big FIs, serve older folks doesn't always match the needs of those people, and that there was a kind of a big opportunity for a company who was focused on sort of that stage of someone's financial life to serve those members, those customers better. And for me, I'm sort of the product guy. I've been a sort of software startup guy my whole life. And it was, sort of matching Todd's sort of vision when I started to have an experience with someone in my own family who needed sort of assistance with the day-to-day finances. And I got pulled into it and realized how difficult it was, how painful it was, how many different things you have to look out for, how much time it takes to actually make sure that someone else's financial life is secure and going the way it's supposed to. And it was sort of when those two things met was the beginning of Carefull. And we got started now about 5 years ago.
So about 5 years already in the making?
5 years in the making. We have become a very capable, mature software company at this point. It's been an enjoyable ride.
Well, I think the key thing here is what makes, in your opinion, what makes Carefull stand out? What makes it different from any other type of offerings that might be, let's say, your competitors?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, first, it's sort of the big brain I was kind of talking about before, right? Like it's trained to focus on specific issues that commonly affect older people, but of course can impact anybody. And we find things like gift card scams and romance scams and charitable scams. I think we're now up to like 50 plus things that our big brain is trained to look for. And there's no one else that does that. Not the big banks, not the credit card companies, not LifeLock, not any of those guys. And as we, progress, we learn about new ways folks are being taken advantage of, because this is an ever evolving game of cat and mouse, if you will. Like right now, for example, we've been talking about gold scams, right? Gold is really popular these days because people are looking for a safe haven. And now scammers are using buying gold as a way to take advantage of folks. So once we understand that something new is happening, right, we point the big brain at that, and now we're able to find something new that helps protect. That's what makes us different. And honestly, there's nobody else in the market, at least that I know about, that does anything like
Yeah. Well, honestly, Max, I mean, I really appreciate it because when you think about it, having the big brain, as you call it, AI, really staying on top of it, it makes it so much faster and efficient, I guess we could say, in really looking for those little occurrences or maybe inklings of this looks suspicious, sounding
Yeah.
alarm, and I think that's the key that it really plays and makes it different.
Right. I mean, we look at an astounding number of transactions, right? And if a human had to do that, right, as people have always had to do, right, review every statement, check every little thing, try to do it as fast as you can to make sure nothing bad has happened, make sure that you're looking at the credit report, make sure you're looking at where your data might be available online. It's not possible for a human to do, even if you had all the time in the world, right? But our computers can do that. And then, one other point to mention that makes us different is it's not only the technology, right? Technology isn't enough. It's important. It does things people can't do. But we also have real humans and they are trained folks on our team, right? When our members encounter a scam or a problem or something they don't know how to unwind or deal with, right? We have real folks. They're in the US. They're trained to deal with this stuff. We encourage our members to call them all the time so that we can make sure we're supporting people as best as we can. We're here to help, folks work through whatever might come up. And it's that combination of things that we think is really unique to Carefull.
Max, not to put you on the spot, but can you share a story or two, perhaps, of how Carefull really made a difference in saving someone from losing thousands?
I appreciate that, and I get asked that question a lot, so I'm always looking, right? I'm always like, "What happened lately?" So I went back before our call, anticipating that you might ask something like that, and just in the last few days, right, we caught a $21,000 check washing scam that we caught and brought to the member, and then worked with them to help resolve with their FI. We found patterns of a very large dollar romance scam, and romance scams are really difficult because they happen in little steps over time and then they become very large overall, and so those are tricky, but we're quite good at it. And then another one that just happened this morning was a gift card scam, where we saw a number of related gift card purchases, and when the member called in to talk to us about it, we were able to figure out together that's what was going on and help them figure out what to do. So it's, these are things are constant. It's our expertise. It's what both the technology is looking for and what the people are trained to help resolve. So,
and also, Max, when you start looking at all the things with Carefull, one thing that's very, very important is I understand that you also have a new product announcement, Carefull Scam Check. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, we are so incredibly excited about Scam Check because we really feel like it starts to take a lot of our expertise and kind of make it proactive for members. So let me explain. So in short, Carefull Scam Check is an AI-powered kind of scam detector, right? You think of a metal detector that finds metal. Scam Check is a detector that finds scams. And we're all getting bombarded with strange texts and messages and emails and voicemails like all the time. And it can be really hard. I'm a relative expert in this, and it can be really hard with some of the more sophisticated ones to understand like what's real and what's not, right? It's like, it's not an overstatement to say that just about every one of us is interacting with a scam in some way, like at least each week. So we have this massive problem. And Scam Check now puts some power back in the hands of our members. So right now, what it does is it can take any image or text that the member provides and evaluate it against everything Carefull knows about scams, and then tell the user whether or not this is something they need to be concerned about. So if I can make it real, right? So yesterday I got a voicemail, and my phone transcribed the voicemail, and it was basically saying, it was so and so calling from Amazon about a $1,500 MacBook purchase, and if I didn't want the purchase to go through, then I would have to call them and let them know not to put the charge through. So I took that voicemail, that transcribed voicemail, and I pasted it into Scam Check, and out of that, comes an assessment of what this is. And so right away, Scam Check says, this is an Amazon impersonation scam. What you should do is not engage with it. If you're actually worried about it, you should call Amazon directly and figure out if Amazon actually tried to reach you. And if it's not them, then you should block this number, and so on. And so it really understands why you're sending it. It prescribes sort of the next steps for you to sort of make sure that you don't get into any trouble.
That being said, I'm wondering, when you look at, Carefull Scam Check, how does that compare when typically today you might have someone having a scam attempt like that, and they might go on Google and start doing research or looking for it. So what's the value that Scam Check brings to the picture?
Yeah, totally. So I think that's probably most people's first reaction when they see anything they don't know is like, let's go Google it and see what it is. Or like, let me ask the person who does my Googling and I'll ask them to go look it up. So I think it's a very reasonable question. And probably in summary, it's a couple of things. First, it's that Scam Check is like purpose built to identify scams and guide folks on what to do. So you could Google around for a long time and not necessarily find exactly the thing that you've been sent. And then the second part of that is that it, prescribes a plan of action. So whether you've engaged with that thing or not engaged with that thing, here's what you need to know about it and what to do. And those things, you might be able to piece together from Google if you spent many hours. Here, this is an interaction that takes, maybe 5 seconds, and you've got your answer back. The second thing about it is that Scam Check is educated by everything that Carefull has learned and knows about scams. And it's updated as we learn, right? The gold scam that I was just mentioning earlier, right, is a good example of now something that Scam Check understands. And so all of our collective expertise about this stuff is now delivered to our members really simply, really quickly in one very simple interaction. So it should save folks a lot of time and get them better answers than a Google might.
And how does Scam Check really help financial institutions do a better job protecting their customers?
Yeah. That's a great question. And obviously, right, at Carefull, we're always thinking about our FI partners and how what we do both supports our sort of shared members and, helps the institution. And so, there's a couple of ways, but, a thing people used to say is, right, a stitch in time saves 9, right? So like the best way to deal with a scam is to avoid getting into it in the first place, right? If they're a mess to clean up, and as part of that, they put a lot of strain on FIs in trying to help their members resolve them. Actually, I was listening to one of your podcasts from a couple of episodes ago, and the fellow who was the CEO of a credit union was saying how much of a burden it is for credit unions to have to support their members in managing through this, the research and the reports that have to get filed, and there's so many steps that take place, and that takes up time for somebody at the credit union. In some cases, they have to have people that are devoted to it that they have to pay. So if we can help head off a lot of these things from the beginning by equipping our shared members with tools to help them stay out of trouble, right now that benefits the FI quite a lot. And then so and if we're avoiding the fraud, now that's one less thing the FI has to worry about. So dealing with it, whether it affects them or not, and then if a fraud affects the institution, and now there's remuneration that has to be considered, whatever, right? If we can get out in front of that, we're saving the FI and the member a lot.
And Max, what happens if Scam Check really flags something as being suspicious? How does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. I wish I could show you. Podcasts aren't great for showing. But so when Scam Check identifies a scam, right, it's looking to understand, like, is this likely a scam? Is this likely not a scam? Or should, we recommend something you need to be careful with, or proceed with caution, right? And so it sort of makes that determination up front, and it lets the user know that. And then if we think it's a scam or something you need to be careful with, we tell you what kind of scam we think it is, what you should do about that, how you know it's a scam, how the scam works. And then we also often supply content that we've written, articles that document sort of cases where this has happened before, and the stories of those cases, so that people can really understand what it might look like when things really go bad. And so it's not just a simple, like, we think it's a scam, good luck. It's here's our assessment of this thing. Here are the steps you should take. Here's how you should understand why this thing is, and try to teach people through the process of Scam Check what to look out for in the future. So it really takes a very full view of a scam and tries to use that as an opportunity to educate and protect.
And, Max, finally, if someone, a listener, wants to learn more about Scam Check or Carefull in general, or maybe even see a demo live,
Yes, I'd love to do that.
What do you recommend that they do?
Yeah, so if you're a Carefull member, Scam Check is already in your Carefull account, and we encourage you to go play with it. Or if you'd like, you can call our customer care team, and they'll be happy to talk you through it as well. For a credit union or other FI, you can find out more at getcarefull.com with 2 L's, getcarefull.com, or you can call us anytime at 833-836-0050.
Max, thank you so much for taking time today to be on our podcast. I wish you well. Thank you again.
Really a pleasure. Thank you, and see you soon.
And to all listening, thanks for joining us. Stay safe.
If you've enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow One-on-One with Walt Laskos wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to send comments to walt@laskoscommunications.com. And to learn more about how you might support the prevention of elder financial scams, visit laskoscommunications.com.